Frank Sinatra on KLOS Los Angeles, and it was a very good year. Good morning to you. It's a Monday morning, the 29th of June, 1998, and it is time for the Impact program, and welcome to you. Impact is, at times, the in-studio guest format where we discuss a wide variety of topics. Tonight, I do have an in-studio guest who has been here more times than anyone that I've ever had on the program, and we were talking off the air for a moment. This is, we're coming up on about 10 years now. Hang on, why am I not? Hang on. Oh, somebody pushes these buttons here. Now we can hear you. 10 years.
10 years, 10 years.
My in-studio guest is the founder of the Frontline Foundation, Ray Castellani.
Good morning, Frank.
How are you, Ray?
I'm okay at this hour of the night.
Yeah.
But I am okay. I feel pretty good. I'm getting used to these late hours, and so I'm okay. It's good to be here. I also want to thank, again, I want to thank all those listeners that have helped me at Frontline. And thank you for 10 years, coming up in a couple of months. And that's what I want to do. Thank you first.
Maybe we could just play Frank Sinatra for the whole hour.
Oh, yeah.
And we can reminisce and talk about...
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it was... Yeah, we have played him so many times on this show, and this time, well, his songs will be with us forever. I mean, that's for sure. And some talent. That's all I can say. I mean, he was my favorite. He still is my favorite, but a great talent. Indeed. Unbelievable.
Indeed. It is summer here. We just kicked into summer last week, and summertime is a time for the Sunday night program by which we get more listeners. There's a lot of younger people up, or people out of school, or people that just stay up later because it's summer. And there are some people that have, I'm sure, have never heard you before, have no idea who you are, why you're here, who the Frontline Foundation is.
And saying, get him off and get some music.
Frank Sinatra, what's the deal with this guy? So talk a little bit about Frontline before we get into wherever the interview is going to go, if you could.
Frank, as simply as I can put it, and as succinctly, it's a good word, 11 years ago, it was a calling for me to serve food in an area known as Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles. But I was only thinking at the time that it was going to be a one-time deal. And so on December 5th, 1987, I made 111 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and with a couple of friends of mine, went down to Skid Row, thinking it was only this one time. And since that day, that rainy day in December, cold and rainy, last month, May 30th, we surpassed 600,000 meals served to the residents of Skid Row. So that's basically what I did, or what's been done, and not by me, but by hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and a tremendous entity of compassion and understanding laid out on the streets of Skid Row. But it has gone much further than that, and I didn't know what I was getting into. And so it's a format of really now for me, and for anybody that does work with me, a format of understanding and compassion for my fellow human. And that's what I think Frontline is and supports. So.
Why compassion, for instance? We have a world right now that doesn't seem to be all that interested in compassion.
Frank, I believe in a few principles, not many, but a few. And I pound my chest and say this is what I believe in. Our world is troubled. Our world is in a very troubled spot. And has, even in the 10 years that you and I have been together on the show, it hasn't, you can't say, nobody can say, it's gotten better. it's only gotten progressively more degenerate, so to speak, and troubling. It's troubling to me. And a few principles, such as compassion, feeling for another person, another human being, is what I have put in my being, so to speak, and understanding, compassion, tolerance. These are very important principles that I believe in, and I believe in them. And the greatest exercise of these principles is in the most deprived area of any major city, but certainly of Los Angeles, Skid Row, where the people are shuffled from one side of the street to another, where people are, and these are people that are human beings. They're God's children. I believe this, and they're just now a tremendous. It's almost like it's from the mayor on down. I can't quite put my finger on it, except that I do know that the harassment of these people is beyond anything I've ever experienced. I mean, they scoop up their houses. They, if the sun is shining, like this hot weather is coming, if the sun is shining and they're staying in the shade on one side of the street, the police will come by and make a move to the other side of the street where the sun is shining. And then, of course, my pet peeve of water, they turn off the water for these people downtown, and there's no water for them. So they just want them out. It's almost as though somebody said, just make it as hard as possible for these human beings on the streets. And yet, the missions downtown are making these millions and millions and millions of dollars off these same people that they're trying to get off the streets. I was down there about 4 weeks ago. I had school made 1,500 sandwiches for me, which is quite a lot of food and I went down in the evening, and I made 3 stops. It took a little bit, but the last stop I made was on San Julian, across from the one of the missions, and I had 2 of the rent-a-cops plus one of the SRO people confront me and say they didn't want me giving out this food here. And it wasn't that much, and I wasn't disturbing anybody, and everybody knew me on the street. And as he was talking to me, he said, we don't want this element here on this street between 6th and 5th on San Julian. And I said, my God, well, what's it all about? If this is what we're here for, to help these people, just get by one more day. And they threatened me to a small degree, saying, well, we'll get the cops on you. And I said, it doesn't make any difference. I said, I don't want any problems here. As I was saying that, a group now gathered around those 2 rent-a-cops and the SRO guy, and they're yelling, saying, Ray, is there a problem? Leave him alone. And all of a sudden, about 30 or 40 people started to gather, and I kept saying, no, it's cool, it's no problem. And then all of a sudden the guy gave me his card, his hands were shaking, and the 2 rent-a-cops sort of backed off, and that was it. But I was appalled at the way they, here it is, the heart of Skid Row, and I was appalled at their attitude towards these people. And yet those same people want the money for the missions, and of course on New Year's and
Thanksgiving
and all those days. Then of course they put them in the papers, and that saddened me. It saddened me very deeply, and I feel inadequate because I said, what can I do? And I realize nobody's going to, except the people on the street will back me up, but outside of that, nobody else will, and it's okay. I'm not, but I'm not there to change anybody. I'm not there to give them any lessons of anything.
Which was going to be my next question that I don't think I've asked you. If I have, it's only been once or twice over the 10 years. But so Frontline is not necessarily an organization where you have an interest in getting people sober or getting them jobs or any of that. Frontline's main purpose is
just to basically to ease the pain in the heart and soul of people in this particular area. Compassion again, just compassion for my fellow man, with no ideology, just plain, how are you? I mean, what's wrong with what's wrong with that? What's wrong with somebody saying, how are you today? And legitimately wanting to know how the other person is instead of thinking about myself all the time, which is what our state of our world is, do, re, me. And and that's what I put forth, that kind of an effort. Because until the society picks up on this kind of stuff, it's just a mishmash. It's all a mishmash. You know it's a mishmash. Everybody knows it's a mishmash. Don't want to admit it, but they just want the money so that they can live in a big house, or that they can go to do whatever it is they want to do. But you say, how about a little understanding and compassion for your fellow man? Oh no, unless it benefits me. If it benefits me, then I'll give you all the compassion in the world.
Simply put, you're talking about selfishness.
Selfishness permeates our society today. Selfishness and two good words. But I mean, it's an old-time problem. I mean, it's a problem of the North and the South. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, it's the Christians and the Roman Empire. It goes all around, way back. It's a corroding fiber, and yet there's only two words: selfishness and self-centeredness. It's just, and then when a society becomes selfish, Korea, 38th parallel, they want below, and North Korea comes down and gets, and on and on and on, and it all stems around that, and and people forget. I mean, people forget what happened from one day to the next. You go out and kill somebody, and the next day they say, "Well, that's okay, no problem. We love you," and I'm not that cool, because I've seen so much in the last 11 years of my life of cruelty to mankind, and it's right here in our own city, and it's a disgrace, and I feel very deeply about it. And yet, I was going to say something else. When they talk about hell, I can serve all the people on Skid Row. I can do it with no problem. I don't mean me per se. I hate to use the word, but I'm not going to be presumptuous enough to say we all can do this, because it's a lot of baloney. There has to be some kind of energy going for people to say, yeah, let's help. Now, when the riots were out, the TV was downtown, and of course all the actors, and they got the brooms and they swept L.A. Oh, isn't that wonderful? But what about serving food so that people don't have to eat out of garbage cans today in 1998? And I can do that. I could do that because I've got schools behind me, synagogues, churches, people, thousands and thousands that would just donate a 55-cent can of tuna fish, and I could have the system of Frontline is very small, but the idea of what's going on could be expanded to this particular area where the need is so great. I'm not talking about Pacoima or places like that. I'm not out to feed the city of Los Angeles. I'm just out to feed the people that don't have any food, that are psychologically, mentally a little bit down on their luck. I say a little bit down, way down on their luck. And unless you've been in that spot, unless I've been in that spot, then I have no understanding of it. I can't say, well, go get a job, go get this, go get that. It's not going to work. But I can say, let me help out your mind a little bit. Let me help out your soul a little bit. Let me love you a little bit. Let me care about you a little bit. let me give you something without any strings attached. You don't have to change. You don't have to sing. You don't have to kneel. You don't have to pray. You don't have to, because God runs the show anyway. And so the capability of what I have could serve food to everybody downtown. And then the missions can change them if they want to. And I'm not a selective organization, or I'm not a selective human being that will only say women and children, because that's another baloney thing too. I'm not selective by saying, well, you can only have here if you're accompanied by a child, because they come from all over the city downtown to I want to say scavenge all the things that, like, let's say if Nike gives and the Pizza Hut gives, they're not on the streets. They go someplace else. And they make the people believe that, and then, of course, Nike doesn't know. They get 1,000 pairs of sneakers. They're not on Skid Row. But they go to Skid Row. They're for Skid Row, but they don't fit the shoes of the people on Skid Row. It's all selective. More, what's the word? Not prejudiced. I can't think. Prejudiced. Well, anyway, segregated people that get the shoes, whatever it is. They only give them to who they think they should be given to. And same with pants, Levi's, and all those things. And so I'm saying, this is what goes on downtown. You know, we should have a show, Frank, you and I. We should have a show on the streets of Skid Row, and let's get the people from Skid Row and talk about not the people in the missions or the SRO, those people, or even me, but let's talk to the people. Let's get the real people telling about how the real things happen down here. There's never a show like that, is there? Mm-hmm. It's just a one-sided affair that the missions are doing their part, guys like me are doing my part. But what about the street people? What about the really hardcore street people saying, hey man, I hurt. I cried today. What about that? And all these things about the children. I was like, my goodness gracious, 10 years ago, Frank, when I first came on your show, the 10-year-old people that were 10 are now 20 on Skid Row now because they're younger and it's meaner. What about all those kids? But no, we worry about the kids. That's once in a while there has to be somebody to champion for the people of another that nobody wants. And as far as if I had 10 seconds on Channel 4 where they say, our city of Los Angeles, there's a place downtown where people get served 8 hours a day. Would they need a little help? Maybe you could send them a can of tuna fish or whatever, and help us out, help our city out, with no money. I'm not asking for money. Money's not the. If money's my problem, I got no problem. But everybody, can you imagine what the executives and the greed that is down here on these human beings that I'm talking about? I'm only talking about the down and out people. That's where they're making all their money from. The newspapers on with the guy with the white beard sitting on. I never saw him on Skid Row. I'd pictures in
talking
the
about the advertising.
Yeah, $15 buys 5 meals for this person. You see this old man with a beard.
You've not seen him down there, huh?
No, I don't know him. I mean, all these people that know all these people. I've been down there 11 years. I probably know 10,000 people down here, but I don't see these people that are taking their pictures. But I don't know where they get them from. But let's call it this way. Let's talk to the people. I have the L.A. Times. They're beautiful to me, and I love them. But I say to the L.A. Times, go to the people, get their story, because that's the story. I used to serve on the corner of 5th and San Pedro. I had 1,500 people on the corner on a Saturday, and then all of a sudden, the L.A. Mission bought the corner property, and there was a gate that went in and out. And every Saturday morning, because they didn't want me there, they harassed me and all the people because they drove in. And they drove out while I was serving the food. Well, they got rid of me, no problem, because I'm not looking for a problem. But isn't that amazing? They wouldn't let me use their yard to serve the food or help me. Instead, they harassed me to break up the people and not serve the food to the people. And I had good food. Anybody that knows Frontline, anybody that's been on Skid Row for any kind of a time that doesn't know Frontline hasn't been on Skid Row. And this is, I mean, how about giving a person fruit cocktail as an example, or ice cream, or things that people uptown take for granted, or a glass of cold milk, real milk, not powdered milk. They have enough money to feed everybody downtown, and yet they get powdered milk or powdered this or junk. I mean, what about apples? Well, we'll try to give apples. But what about peaches and things like that?
Ray, why don't we care as a town about the street people of Skid Row or...
There's only one area. Frank, we're not talking about the city. We're talking about 5,000 people. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And I love these people, and they love me. I mean, I really care, but I'm not a young man, and I've said this before. I just don't have the strength anymore to do what Frontline volunteers last Saturday did it all by themselves, without me in the kitchen, and served probably 300 people. And what a testament to a group of people at Frontline that care about the people of the streets. They did it without me, which is no big deal, but I mean, life's going to go on without me anyway. But I mean, the format is laid, and it was done. And another thing about Frontline is that people care at Frontline about people, because you can't walk in there if you're a selfish person, because you won't stay too long, because they're not talking about themselves. They're not saying, well, I got this problem, I got that problem, blah, 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 blah. And why can't we care? Why can't I used to try to get a place downtown. Oh, I would love that. I would love to do something on a scale. And this program also would work in Chicago, Detroit, any place where there's a populated area where the need of good, nourishing food given with compassion and love and understanding. And I'll go in any area in the world. It doesn't bother me, because I'm not afraid to die, so it doesn't bother me. But that's what I believe.
How can the listeners help tonight? If there's somebody out there that has not heard you before, or has heard you a number of times and now feels compelled to want to get involved or assist you in some way, what do you need?
Well, Frank, every time I'm on your show for many, many years, and the first few I was reticent about being on the radio, and I don't do any more interviews, and I don't do any more articles, and I don't want no pictures, I don't do anything anymore, because I figure if 600,000 meals being served in an area isn't enough for some other person to say, hey, not a bad job, then I don't want your energy. I don't need it, and I don't need any publicity, and I don't need it. But the people that you have, the people that have come from listening, probably if I was on the radio every day, or you and I on the radio every day, a lot has to do with you, because you know me, and you know me well, and the people that pick up on what we're saying here, I'm not saying everybody does. For all those people that don't like me, keep quiet. Don't call in. I'll call you. But
the irony of that, keep your thought, is it's interesting because there are some people that don't like this kind of message.
Oh.
And what are we talking about here? We're just talking about caring about people and not thinking about yourself so much.
That's all. Just not thinking about yourself. And I haven't got time for it anymore. I don't have time for it anymore in my life. I don't. And but the listeners that have picked up on what I have said here range into the thousands. I mean it, Frank. Over the past 10 years, they have been. I have this little $3 club as an example. Unfortunately, I've lost quite a few, but that's to be understood. I mean, people come and go, and it's okay. But they love it because they keep in contact with me every month for $3. And that $3 sustains a little bit. I have about 200 and some odd members to this little, and it's healthy, and it's kind of a fun thing because they're on their little mailing. I've got a little flyer going out now with our drawing where I picked up sponsors that put up $1,000, and now I have a drawing for that $1,000, and I'm only selling 3,200 worth of tickets. That's a help. The dinners that we have at Maria's for Frontline Foundation through you, major, because it brings together people. It literally is touched by you and by me and by all the other frontline people, and they know about it. That's another area. We have, of course, the volunteers. We have that come to the kitchen and help out. Another area. Little areas that are little pockets of people helping that hear and they say, yeah, I want to be a part of something. I want to be a part of something. I want to help out, and they do. They come forth from all over, and the letters. I mean, Frank, the letters of encouragement. I mean, that I get, even on little blue slips. God bless you, Ray, and keep up the good work, and I love you. And I mean, it's staggering. I've showed you that box of letters. I mean, the hope that is, and I've only saved them for about 2 years. The hope that is contained in one box that I have with thousands of letters that I've received is staggering from the people from KLOS that have heard us on the Frank Sontag show. So that's a help. A letter to me is a help. A letter to me. Ray, God bless you. I love you. Keep up the good work. May never speak to him again. I got a letter from 2 years ago. A guy heard us. Oh, I heard you on the Frank Sontag show. And I love you and thanks and sending $1. I said, thank you. I write everybody back, thank you, because I care that much. So the network of the listeners that can help is in a small way or a big way. I don't care. Big or small, it doesn't make any difference to me. But they all help. The best thing probably is just to care about Ray, which allows them the latitude to think about somebody else besides themselves too. And it really is encouraging to me. We have another exciting thing. Several years ago, I wanted to go on the internet. Of course, my friend Ron Swart was a little bit... he says, well, what do you got to go on the internet for? But I did beat the NBA on. And it has been a marvelous... I'm so excited. Noreen put together the page. And the first... we've been up for a long time, but now we have a new page out. And I want every kind of information on that page about humanity, about caring, about loving, about giving. And so that the people can see, can touch, literally feel the my heart or the what it is I'm trying to convey out to people. So we're really making a magnificent page of humanity for humanity. And that's up now. And from in 4 days, since it was up last Wednesday, we've gotten, as of today, 57 hits on the I don't know how many we've had before, but this is just since last Thursday. I mean, what a marvelous tribute to people who care. And they're finding me on Yahoo and Hoo and Ha, and they're coming in because I'm saying what I want to say right out through that internet. And
what's your webpage address?
Frontline-foundation.org. And of course the first, all lowercase, and of course the first part is the normal HTTP, blah, 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 blah. But the letter is frontline-foundation.org.
And for people that aren't on the net and want to contact you via the mail, what's your mailing address?
My mailing address is Frontline Foundation, P.O. Box 570303, Tarzana, 91357, California. And that is the trying to think, the email address too is, this is new, so I'm gonna try to remember it. Castellani at frontline-foundation.org. Those are people who I don't quite understand. Let me see. Have a like they belong to AOL or one of those things.
Right, they have an ability to email. So it's basically the same thing as the web page, only at the beginning it's Castellani at.
Right.
Frontline-foundation.org.
Right. So that gets through. If they want any questions, Robert Robertson wrote me on that originally. Beautiful. And another exciting thing too is that at the end of the page we have links to our supporters, like Nan Ray, who's a marvelous artist. We ask the person first if you'd like to, because they're a supporter of Frontline, and then their page is at the end of our page, so they can click into that and see what. So they're getting together that way. So it's exciting to see these big, people that care, that support Frontline, and we're able to link this support together at the end, and it's beautiful. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I knew nothing about computers 6 months ago, and the vastness of the situation is unparalleled in anything in our world. I've just never experienced anything like it, and I'm not out to be a computer expert, but I know I see the capability of what I can do. I can reach people all over the world with what I believe. Somebody's got to get up and say that I believe in humanity. I believe in helping humanity. I care about humanity. And it's not by words, but it's by actions. Words are cheap. They've always been cheap. But it's by actions. What do I do about what I think? We're worrying so much about ourselves that and all this murder and rape and killings that's going on, and my goodness, nobody thinks it's going to happen to them. It's like it won't happen to me. I told you this story about this beautiful girl with the cerebral palsy downtown, and she was just a soul of life, and she was somebody's baby at one time, and they used to call her Wiggles on the streets, and she was using drugs and stuff, which is another area too, and who cares? It's another pet peeve. Who cares if somebody uses drugs or something? They don't care about it in Beverly Hills or in Santa Monica.
That's true.
They only care about it on Skid Row, and then they say, well, they're all alcoholics and drug users. Well, so what? Big deal. You're selfish when you think about that, too. You are selfish. So, whoa! But and here she is, a human being, one of God's children. Frank, she was found with a throat slit, raped, and in a dumpster. There's nobody that cared about her except the people of the streets. I cried when I heard that. You tell that story to somebody else, could care less because they're not involved. But I am involved with humanity. I am involved. And it's not by baloney. It's by that I care. And I got to put myself out there on a limb. I got to just put myself out there on a limb and say, look, I don't want anything. I just care about you. And unfortunately, I wish I was 35 and had these things going on in my head. But I was thinking about being a great big star as an actor, and all. That's another. You want to go on with things. If you're a big time athlete or a big time actor, and you get in problems with drugs and alcohol, you get everybody on your side to help you. Oh, we'll help you. I have a little woman downtown that's 3 foot tall and in dire straits without, and there's nobody going to help her. She's black. Nobody going to help her. But an actor will get on front of the TV in front of the judge and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for what I did, and we'll put you in a rehab house." And like I'm going to really get sober or whatever you call it, cleaned up because the judge tells me I'm going to get cleaned up. If you're any kind of an alcoholic, if you're any kind of a drug user, there's nothing going to scare you into staying sober. I guarantee you that. I may not know too much about alcohol and drugs, but I know a little bit, enough to put anybody off balance with what they know. I'll accept all comers on that one. But, I mean, they care. Oh, sure, we'll care about Robert Downey Jr. God bless him. Don't misunderstand me. Nice man and all that. But let's get real. Let's get really real. Is he really going to stay sober? Oh, yes, I will. I will. $10 million later. How much does it cost to go to these fancy joints? Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I'll give you the answer to everybody that wants to stay sober. Don't drink. Now you got that. If you don't want to get loaded, don't use pills. You got the answer, and it's free. I just gave it to you for free. And if any organization has a better answer than that, please contact me. I'd like to know that. And that's true. I was going to one time sell it for $2 a pop, but nobody would buy it. I got to spend $20,000 a week in order to get that answer. And you got St. John's Hospital, this hospital, that. They all got the programs. And yet we have people on the streets, and the first thing they say is, well, they can get jobs if they want, and they're a bunch of drunks or a bunch of drug addicts and cocaine. I have no respect for anybody that thinks that way, because I believe they're all God's kids, including the actors and the actresses. My God, I'd love to get one of those actors and just say, hey, man, all you got to do is not drink. Say a prayer to God, and you're going to be okay. Oh, is it that simple? Yeah, it is, man. That simple. That's cool, brother. But, you know, they want to spend our money. And all this started with what the listeners can do. Oh, boy, they're saying, where's Ray going tonight? But anyway, Frank, it's here. The listeners help. There'll be if 10 listeners write to me in the next couple of days, that's enough. If 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, if 20 of them, fine. Not caring for a moment, caring for a lifetime.
What if someone wants to do more than that? What if somebody wants to volunteer and get involved? And for those that don't know, your facility is in the San Fernando Valley. Mm-hmm. You have a kitchen.
Come up on a Saturday morning. Come up there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's in Van Nuys. It's Van Nuys and Oxnard. You take a left on Oxnard, go about 100 feet from the corner, and there's a building called Granger. Take a left and go down that alleyway and look for Frontline Foundation. A lot of people have called and said, yeah, I want to come show up. And it's okay. It's okay. At least they called. Maybe next year they'll come. But the volunteers that are there, there's groups of them that are powerful, powerful people. And, you know, obviously I can't do the work. They do all the work. But and they're involved. They're involved in something. They love it. Young, old, it doesn't make any difference. Attitudes are not accepted. And just to give with the purity of giving is the only rule of thumb. And there are no bosses, and there's no access to grind or anything like that. It's just to help out a little bit. And we're just a bunch of people that help out a little bit.
Do you want to talk to some people tonight?
Sure.
Okay. I think what I'd like to do is take a very brief break and open the phone lines to those that want to maybe talk to you on the air if they've got questions about Frontline or something you've said or something they're curious about, or if they want to comment on an area of discussion that applies to what we're talking about this morning. If we get calls, let me open the phone lines and we'll go from there. If you'd like to be on the air this morning on the Impact program with my in-studio guest, the founder of the Frontline Foundation, Ray Castellani, the numbers are always the same. And the phone lines are open to you right now at 1-800-955-5567 or 1-800-955-KLOS. As always, you'll talk to Tammy Richardson. She's in the other room awaiting your phone calls. And we'll pause and be back with more after this. This is the Impact program on KLOS, and as I just said a moment ago, my in-studio guest is the founder of the Frontline Foundation, a nonprofit organization that's focus is to feed the street people of Skid Row. His name is Ray Castellani, and we're going to be taking phone calls in just a little while. I don't know what's going on tonight with the phones, Ray. Sometimes we've had you on, and we get a few calls, and sometimes more than a few, and I don't know what everybody wants, but all the lines are lit up already. Now, maybe they want something else. I don't know, but we'll wait a few moments for Tammy to screen the calls, and we'll talk to some folks on the air. I wanted to get back to something you made mention of, and I want to focus on people that have not heard you before, because I know in my heart, I know the way this program works, and there are people driving right now that are tuned in, and they're thinking, yeah, I've not heard anybody talk like this. This is really rare to hear on the radio. And here's a guy that, if I get it right, he helps feed people on Skid Row and has an organization called the Frontline Foundation, and there's a kitchen in the valley. I think some are wondering, how many days do you serve? Well, first, how many days do you serve a week now?
We're now serving 3, sometimes 4. I had to cut this down in last August to fit my framework because I was downtown on Skid Row about 4 times a week, and it was just, I was just getting sicker and sicker. So physically, I just couldn't take it. There's nobody coming forward, unfortunately. The job is a little bit tricky. You don't receive any money, and
which way is going to be? I've got 2 other questions. How much money do you make on
well,
this?
it was dictated to me, Frank, over 11 years ago, to receive no compensation for what I was to do or solicit any money. It was okay because I only thought it was a 1 or 2 time. Well, really, basically only a one-time deal. I never thought I only thought it'd be 1 trip downtown. So receiving no compensation for 1 day is no big deal, and certainly didn't have to solicit any money. But 11 years later, and of course because of that, I understand now the logistics of everything because even though I struggled personally, humanity was served better by me not receiving anything because the chips were now in my corner, and I understood that. And not to solicit any money was another thing that I said, well, how can I serve food? I mean, how can I do this without saying, hey, I need some money? But I can put forth programs and say, this is what the people want to do, and it all comes, it's all inspiration. It all doesn't come from me. I want to, I also want to make this statement too, and this is a statement that probably some people are going to object to, but it's cool. I could care less because I'm tired of listening to what I don't believe or what I should believe or this and that. This is the way it is with Ray. I have been an instrument of a God, a power, whatever you want to call, some 11 years ago to be called to serve some food in an area known as Skid Row in Los Angeles. I take no credit for this because it said, do this. And I said, yes, do it. And I was obedient to the calling. That's the way it was. And if you ask me today or tomorrow or any time, well, Ray, it's an awesome figure, 600,000 people. That's a Rose Bowl 6 times. I would say, well, it doesn't register in my head. It just is not there. And I don't understand why, but it's not there. It doesn't understand why $60,000 or $70,000 comes in a year, because I have to support Frontline. We have a kitchen. We pay, that's the Frontline 80 that helps pay for that. Then the $3 club. And the amount of donations that come in to support the gas to go downtown, the trucks, the maintenance on the trucks. I mean, it all comes. It's all there. It has to be supported. And the other foods that we get, the cups, the various things that I need, the mayonnaise, the mustard, the relish, all this stuff, the condiments to make this. So I need money to support the foundation. The gas company doesn't give me the gas for free, and the power company doesn't give me the power for free. And all this comes in. And I've always said, when it doesn't come in, I'll fold up. I could care less because I'm still going to do the same thing. And so the money had come in, probably $500,000 in the last 11 years. Is that not a miracle? to not solicit that, and it came in to support this, plus the thousands of volunteers, plus the thousands of people downtown, all because some guy was directed to do this, and I got to take credit for that? No, I don't take any credit for that. I couldn't orchestrate this in a million years. I ask anybody, one of your listeners right today, if they had to have 100 people for dinner next Saturday, the first thing they say was, well, where am I going to get the money to feed all the people? Unless they had the money. And then I'll make it 10,000 people, okay? Get the logistics a little bit better. And probably $1.5 million worth of goods, maybe 2 million, have come my way in donations. Now that's a miracle, without even asking for it. And I've always said many a time, and it didn't several years ago when I was on, we were down and out. Right. And it came. So I have been just an instrument. I believe that. Please understand this, people. I take no credit for this. And it does not register in my head about this whole program. I just keep going on. And I will back up this statement by thousands of people on Skid Row. If anybody wants to argue with me on my turf, not on your turf, so that they can see the miracle and not talk about the miracle. Come with me on Skid Row. I'll bring you down personally, and if you got any yaps or any gripes, gripe to me on the streets, to the people that are served by who I serve. And then, if you still gripe, fine. And I don't know why I shouldn't have got talking that away, but well, these callers are going to be, whoa!
Do you want to take, speaking of the callers,
Sure.
You want to take some
Go
calls?
ahead.
Okay. Let's see, it's a little before 1. This is KLOS Los Angeles. We even have somebody calling on a line 15, which I've never seen light up in my life here, Ray. I'd be curious to know who that is. It's probably the boss in
oh, God.
in Utah listing or something. Who knows? Let's see here. Candida, you're on the air with Ray Castellani.
Hi, I was wondering, I heard you say that you do this about 3 to 4 days a week. I was wondering if you have like a set time or set days.
Yes. Set day, set time. And, yes, in answer to your question. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. 4 days they're working in the kitchen. Oh, I'm sorry, and on a Thursday night. 5 days working in the kitchen, 3 days going downtown, and now this week they'll be going down 4 days, so downtown.
Oh, I see.
I used to go down Candida.
Candida.
Love that name, Candida.
Thank you.
You be kind to me, right?
Excuse me?
You be kind to me.
Of course. I wouldn't be calling otherwise.
Okay. Candida, like I was telling Frank, I used to go down, we used to serve a little over 1,000 people a week. Now I had to cut it down because of my physical self and because I just couldn't keep going down. I've got the help in the kitchen, but it takes a little bit of doing to train people to go to Skid Row and serve the food. Even though I don't let my volunteers go to the heart of Skid Row, I'm the only one that goes there.
But oh, I see. So your kitchen isn't actually there in Skid Row?
No, the kitchen is in Van Nuys.
Oh, I see.
And I ship the food downtown. Hot, cold, anything. We do everything.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We had hamburgers. I had hamburgers and hot dogs from the California Fresh Food Kitchen. You know those people, Frank.
Right.
And they gave me a beautiful cooked hamburger. I mean, it was marvelous hamburgers, first-class food, and hot dogs. 150 the volunteers made up for me last Tuesday. How long do you think it took me to serve 150 people on the streets last Tuesday, roughly?
I wouldn't have any idea how long.
8 minutes.
Wow.
That's how fast it went. 8 minutes. I could serve myself, by myself, starting this part of the month. I could probably go down with let's say 600 meals, and where I go in the heart of Skid Row would probably take me about 15 to 20 minutes to get rid of the whole 600.
That's absolutely incredible.
That's what I'm talking about. And now the other thing, Candida, is that let's just say hypothetically you had 600 meals, okay? 600 meals. You, Candida, cannot go down there and do that because if you go on those streets, they're going to take everything away. They're going to be unruly. It's going to be. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right, I do.
But the care that I have, because of the respect that they give to me, the caring that they have to me, I have the capability of doing that kind of work in that kind of an area because they know that they respect me, and they know that I will die for what I believe in, and I have no fear of anything, and so you say, well, let's call Ray up and he'll do this. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the advantage that I have, and you'd think some of the city officials would say, oh yes, let's get this guy, and how does he do it? How? You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And that's another value that has been propagated that I have realized, but it's going to die with me.
What area do you need the most help in?
Well, obviously the kitchen, but I would love you to come in on a Saturday because the whole mechanism works on a Saturday. And where do you live?
In Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach?
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, that's a long way. Huntington Beach. Well, Huntington Beach. Well, Candida, come up. Well, I'll tell you what. Do you have my address? P.O. Box?
Yes, I do.
P.O. Box 570. Drop me a line tomorrow. I'll send you some information. You know, there's other, like I said, we have the $3 club. You know, there's people that you can support. You can have tuna fish drives for me. You can have, I don't want to mention the foods I use because I don't want people to get all the different foods for me, but you can have some food drives for me and bring them up on a Saturday for me. A lot of schools do that are far away in Orange County and places like that where they have drives for me. Like I'm getting things ready now for the winter, and I need some items. And what I'll do is I would write you tomorrow and say, if you want to work in that area, in your area, and then come up once on a 6 weeks from now and say, here, Ray, I've got 200 cans of, or I've got 20 cans of.
Right.
That would help me because I need, when I write to you tomorrow, what I need what I need. So I'm getting all the schools and all these things and the PTAs and all those things in line for the winter.
And do you help out with any clothing?
No.
Or anything of that nature?
No clothing.
Just all food?
Food.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I'll be dropping you a line tomorrow.
Please, Candida.
God bless you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
you.
I love that. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for the call, Candida. It's 1 o'clock. This is KLOS Los Angeles. Herman, you're on the air with the founder of the Frontline Foundation, Ray Castellani.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Frank and Ray, how you doing this evening?
Doing okay, Herman?
Pretty well.
Okay. You know what, Mr. I can't really pronounce your name. Ray, if it's okay if I call you Ray.
That's cool.
I really appreciate and admire what you're doing. I think your cause is a very noble one. I would just like to know, where do you get your strength from to do what you do? Obviously, it's a great task, and it's an overwhelming task. And you seem to have a good handle on it, and I just want to know, where do you get your strength to do this?
Herman, that's a very, very good question, and not too many people ask that question. In fact, very few. I'm trying to think in my head, but I get drained now because I'm 11 years down the road a piece. Skid Row is not an easy place to do it, but I was guided, Herman, 11 years ago. Call it God, call it an inner strength from a power outside of myself into me, whatever you want to call it. But it was something that was very powerful, that was injected into me with very specific. I don't want to say rules, very specific...
Instructions?
Instructions, yeah, instructions. And I was obedient to those instructions. As a result of being obedient to those instructions, the inner strength came, the power came.
Amazing.
And that's what happened to me.
Yeah, I'm really amazed on the territory that you cover, also, and the numbers that you put out. Obviously... I'm going to assume this. It's not obviously. Do you have probably a right-hand man or two that helps you along your cause here?
I have a base of volunteers, and again, Herman, now understand this. When Ray is in need of what it is to be done on this particular day, the people will appear. So I do not have any one person.
Oh, I see.
But when the person is needed, if I need a young man, all of a sudden a young man will appear.
Oh, that's awesome.
I trust this exposure to me. That's what I said to Frank 5 years ago, or I don't know how many years ago. I don't care if I stop serving food. That's irrelevant, because I'll still continue to do what that inner power tells me to do, which is to help people, which is to sit on the corner of 5th and San Pedro, wherever it is, whether it's New York, Chicago, Detroit, it doesn't make any difference, and give conversation to my fellow man, anybody who'll listen, because I can do that. I play dice on the streets in Skid Row. When there's a dice game going on, I stop my truck, leave my car door open, and I shoot some crabs. Because that's what I do. I shoot them behind my back, in front of my back. I take what little money they got and I go. Or they take my little money and they stay. So it doesn't make any difference. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure. You just treat them like regular people and just hang out with them.
But because we're all equal. I believe in equality. But anyway, in answer to your question, it was that inner power, that inner feeling, that inner strength. That's where I got it all from. But that gets tired, Herman.
I can imagine.
And that's where I am now. 11 years down the road, and I get tired.
What is the name of your organization?
Frontline Foundation.
Okay.
Do you have access to the internet?
No. Actually, I do. Yes. Yeah. At work, I do.
Okay. Frontline-foundation.org. Not .com. .org. Pull me up tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you ever need any help, I work for a nonprofit organization where I can get you some volunteers.
Great.
And
pull me up tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll utilize your ideas.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I really believe in what you're doing, and I commend you.
Thank you.
And that's all I want to really say to you this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Herman. We appreciate the call. We'll go to line 4, and Bill, you're on the air with Ray Castellani.
Hi, Ray. This is Bill.
Bill.
Yes. How are you?
Bill. Which Bill?
Bill Mannheim.
Oh, Bill. Okay.
How are you?
Sorry, Bill. Your voice changed. Go ahead.
The reason why I called was because the two things I'd like you to talk about, if you could, and I'd also like to maybe take a moment to say that, at least through my own experience, that attending the frontline dinners and the brunches are very exciting, and I'd like to know if you would talk about those a little bit more. When is going to be the next frontline dinner? And also, I thought you'd maybe talk about your experience about receiving the Presidential Humanitarian Medal from the President of the United States.
Well, Bill, that's in the history books, Bill. I love it, and the song has been sung. Yes, I was honored by the President of the United States, but again, the honor belongs. This is far greater than all of that, Bill, and you know it, and I know it. The honor belongs to the people of the streets and to people like you.
Well, I felt it was important mentioning only because that I can't think of anyone that has or any kind of humanitarian organization whose founder was honored with such a prestigious award, and that really says a lot about how much the president felt enough to recognize that. And I know myself, I'm very impressed with that. I felt I wanted to mention that, and if you could mention when the next frontline dinner is going to be.
Well, the next frontline dinner, I believe, is the 21st or 22nd of
July. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but it's one of those 2 days.
I think it's the 21st.
But anybody that wants to know about that, Bill, please have him write me.
Absolutely.
All right, but you'll know. Did you get your little thing in the mail?
No, I didn't. I hope to get mine in real soon, and perhaps in closing, I'll just say this in closing as a closing comment, just to let anyone who may be tuning in for the very first time that they should really make it a point at least one time to join us out in Encino for your annual fundraising events. They are without question a true aces of humanity, and oftentimes, you're very, very gracious, Ray, and it's something that everyone should really get a chance to meet you in firsthand. I'd like to maybe say that in closing.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm looking forward to seeing you next month, Ray.
I love you.
Thank you, Bill. We appreciate the call. We've got lots of calls here, Ray. Let's just keep taking them. If it's okay with you.
That's fine.
Andre, you're on the air with Ray Castellani.
Yes, hello, good evening.
Hi, Andre.
First of all, I just wanted to say, Frank, I love your show.
Thank you.
And up until recently, I was living in South America, and I received your newsletters down there and shared them with a couple of South American friends who really enjoyed them.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Okay. Ray, I have two questions, two things I wanted you to comment on.
Are they easy questions?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess you'll find out.
Okay.
The first question I wanted to know, I'll give you both questions, and then you can
Go
just
ahead.
answer them however you like. First question I wanted to know is, from all of your experience with homeless people, why do you suppose people end up on the street? And the second question is a little bit different. I was curious what it would be like to put the people on the street on a vegetarian food program. Those are the two questions.
Well, they're good questions. First of all, I do want to say one thing. The homeless, the stereotype homeless that you're maybe you're talking about, I don't know, but where I am on Skid Row is a little. It's a society. It's a beyond the homeless. It's just a society of people, and the best way I can explain it is that when there's nothing left in life, then you wind up in this area known as Skid Row. This group, society, so to speak, as I call them, a society, group. Food is, yes, I would not say anything disparagingly against vegetarian or meat or anything, because I personally do not have any preference, because the people that I serve, some of them are particular, but most of them are hungry, and hunger does not decipher whether it's meat or whether they get no meat anyway on Skid Row, very rarely, because it's expensive, and so they don't get that meat. So most of the things, like if they have lines or food lines and stuff, it's beans and lettuce and things of that sort. Meat is a very prized, like a hot dog, I said, or hamburgers, like I had last week, is a delicacy. So, in answer to your question about that, whatever is brought down there, their stomach will not decipher whether it's meat or whether it's vegetarian, as long as it's healthy and it's good for them.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
What about the second question, or the first question?
How do people end up on the streets?
And it's when all is going. It's when the mind and the body and the soul is just into an area of nothingness, and there's no place to go. There's no money. There's nothing left, and there's a trolley, and it takes you to the one stop and the next stop, and then pretty soon it comes to the end of the line, and the end of the line for most people in an area is called Skid Row, where the acceptance of each other is accepted there, where it won't be in society.
Do these people's families know that they're on the street?
It's a good question, too. They're not proud of it. The families, some of them do, some of them don't. But they're all kids. They've all got mothers and fathers somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Andre. We'll take a few more. We've got Kurt, Ben, and John still on hold. Kurt, you're on the air on KLOS on the Impact program with Ray Castellani.
Hi, Ray.
Hi.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Kurt.
I just wanted to share my experience at the Frontline Foundation. I was involved with them a handful of times, probably a dozen or so times, back in 1990 when I was going to college. And that was back, Ray, when you were in Sherman Oaks in that church.
Oh, my gosh.
And it had such a huge impact on me. And it still does today. And something that you said to me, Ray, has stuck with me ever since then. And I remember showing up at 4:30 in the morning making sandwiches, and you showed up shortly thereafter. And came over and introduced yourself to me, and you walked away, and I was kind of in the assembly line making sandwiches and whatnot, and you kind of rushed over to me, and you said, Kurt, and I startled me, and I turned around, and you said, "Now remember, Kurt, the only prerequisite we have here is you make every sandwich here with love." And that really hit me. That really hit me hard, and I've kind of used that in my life. I mean, just as a model of giving anything. And it's not just giving something; it's the thought and feeling behind it. And I really felt it that day, and that really had a big impact. And I want to thank you, Ray. That you've had an impact on me greatly, as well as my experience at Frontline.
Well, I mean, that's so beautiful to hear this so many years later. I mean, do you realize what you've said here? You probably don't, but it's awesome what you said here. That, in other words, that message of caring and that love. And one of the big reasons is that that energy of compassion and love goes downtown through the sandwiches instead of anger and, we'll get it done real quick and get out of here. But thank you for remembering me, and thank you for remembering. My God.
Well, you're welcome. But I also want to ask you one other question, and I think you touched upon it in the second caller. But you said you were 35 years old and you wanted to be an actor, which is kind of a worldly thing to do per se. And I got this sense from you when I knew you as such a selfless man, and how I mean, I just never really felt like you were into what your little thing was, or what you had going on in your life, or whatever. It just seemed like you just seemed very unique to me in that you don't see that every day. So how did you make that bridge from being a 34-year-old guy caught up in his own little trip, so to speak, into bridging that into someone who wants to contribute to humanity as a whole?
Again, boy, I wish we had time all night to talk about these. Such great questions. Kurt, number one, please understand this, that I was a selfish, self-centered human being. I only thought about one person, about myself. And I did go through the process, and that's what you're talking about. Yes, indeed, I went through the process of freedom of self is the greatest commodity that was given to me or to any other human being in the world. Freedom of self. The bondage of self, the knots of self are horrible. And process of that, and it happened to me about 14 years ago, somewhere in that time, maybe 15, somewhere in that vicinity, when I was in a garage making a piece of furniture, and the realization came to me, as true as it, as clear as it could, as true as it can. It said this, Ray. I didn't hear voices, Kurt, but it said, Ray, you are now going to be a instrument for me. And I was making a piece of furniture, and I had my big dog underneath it and all that, and I'm saying, oh my goodness. Now what happened, Kurt, is this, that from that moment on, I knew what I had to do, okay, but I didn't do it until about 12 or 13 years ago, and I began to have to clean up my life. I had to start thinking of the 4 principles that I believe in, which is the principles of purity, and that purity had to come through my very thinking, my very soul, my very mind, my body, my spirit. I couldn't cheat on the income tax, on the girlfriends, on the wife, on the... I couldn't work under the table and get money under the table and then declare it on the not declare it in to the state of California, and on and on and on and on. And that purity had to come through like a clear glass of water, so that when I had the power that would come as a result of that, I began to make that transformation. And the next step was the honesty, the unequivocal honesty. That doesn't mean calling somebody a bad person. It means the honesty within my framework that I'm not doing anything in the wrong area anymore. I'm not clinging to some other person. My energies and my life are devoted to power or a source of God, as I understand him, whatever you want to call it. I really could care less. And I began to go into that area. That's the honesty, not the kind of honesty that says, oh, how's the day? Oh, your nose good. That's not what I'm talking about. It's that honesty within my own framework. And then came the unselfishness. Unselfishness. which means I didn't think about myself. That was the big one, that I didn't think about the acting or the career or the other thing. And then came, I'm just giving these, paraphrasing these things, and then came the last, which the last people say, I love, I love, I love, I love. How can you love if you're an impure, selfish, dishonest human being? And tell somebody I love you. I couldn't do it. So then I began to know what love was all about. I began to know what caring was all about. And that's when the transformation took place. So when you met me, they were already in place. So the purity was already in place. I could not articulate it because I hadn't weathered all these, the storms or I hadn't weathered, I'm using the wrong phraseology here. I haven't generated all, I don't know what I'm saying, but I haven't digested all these principles yet. That's a better word. But the transformation took place. Now I'm on the other side. Now I understand about, let's say, Zen, or I understand about religions, and I understand about concepts, and I understand far beyond anything I've ever been educated to, because there's nothing obstructing me from the knowledge. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's a little too
Ray,
heavy.
just what you said is just blowing me away. Wow. And I just want to tell you as I part here, I love you, and thanks a lot, and keep up the good work.
Okay, Kurt. Sorry I got going, but...
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah, I think I talked too much.
No, I don't think so. And I'm the host.
Okay.
I don't think so. Ben, you're on the air on the Impact program. How are you, Ben?
Hi, I'm fine. I just wanted to give my praise, my adulation to Man Among Men, Ray Castellani. Sorry about that.
That's no problem.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate how great a person one can be. We're all born with this inbred feeling of egoism. We're all out there to get a buck, but those that stand out among men are those that change, and you changed, and that's what separates the bad from the good from the great. And I just wanted to give my kudos to you.
Well, that there's a lot of wisdom what you're saying there. Remember that what you're saying is very powerful. So your understanding is really beautiful.
Thank you.
For sure.
One question that I had was, simply out of curiosity. My question to you, Ray, is back in 1987 when you started this altruistic program, how did the people of Skid Row down in downtown LA react to you? Because, as I said before, people don't expect one to be, so kind-hearted. They're going to be skeptical at first. So how did they look upon you when you were doing all these good deeds? How did they feel? Did they, come at you with open arms, or did they, were they skeptical of?
No, they were most skeptical, and
that's what I would expect.
Yeah, most skeptical. The leaders of the street didn't come forward sometimes for 4 and 5 months after. They kept watching me. The one thing I had on my side was I had these principles going for me, and the other thing, I have no fear. And I knew that what I was doing was not from me, but from... If it was me doing it, then I would have a lot of problems, but it wasn't. And so I just went about what I was doing, and they accepted me. It's not easy to be accepted in that area because of what you just said. They're very cautious and very leery because they've been used and abused by the best. And
they sort of build a defense mechanism.
Total. You're right. You're right on the money. Total. They have a total defense mechanism. They can see through the facade of anything. And my eyes had to be pure when I looked at their eyes. When I have 1,000 people that I'm looking at and they're only listening to me, you try handling 1,000 people that are hungry on a Saturday morning, and I guarantee you it's not an easy job. My eyes had to be clear and pure to offset any kind of belligerent activities that were going on, because I had to be strong enough to offset all of that energy. And
how long approximately did it take for the barrier or the bulwark, so to speak, to come down between you and the people of LA?
I'd probably say about 2 years. About 2 years. About 2 years before. I mean, I can walk those streets right now, right this moment, and everybody will be. They'll know me, and there'll nobody touch me.
Right.
But I'd say about 2 years before they began to really know what I was doing. Now they just want to see me. Now they just put their arms around me and hug me. They may not see me for a year, or somebody sees me 2 years, but they'll always remember. And it's not the food. It's the entity. It's the source. And it's that trust, the trust between me and them and me. I have to trust them too. Besides me trusting them, they have to trust me. I have to trust them. See, I don't see any color. I don't see any women. I don't see any children. I believe in total equality, and that principle has to just come out of my soul. And when it comes out of my soul, then that trust is built up, and they realize. See, when they put kids in front of on my line, they say, "Well, no." Because you see, if I have, I'll segregate the kids and no. These people stand in line all night long. The kids don't come first. We're all kids. We're all God's kids. So those are the principles I believe in, and I put them out in the streets, and I'm not afraid to put them out.
Mm.
But it takes time. It takes time.
That word trust that you just said is key, because
total.
That trust, the word you said, trust, that's key in all of it.
Right.
Because nothing would have come about with was there not trust.
Right.
So that's all really I had to ask, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Just appreciate how a person of your caliber can do such good things for the community.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Ben.
Bye.
I appreciate the call. Our last call is going to be from John. You're on the air on the Impact program with Ray Castellani. Hi, John.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Ray. How are you guys tonight?
All right, John.
Actually, this morning. Frank, this is a really compelling show you got here. And, Ray, I just wanted to say that the work you're doing is incredible. I remember about 85 or 86, I went down with a couple of friends of mine, my friend and his father. We went and distributed some soup and some food to some people down in the Skid Row area. And the experience stuck with me all these years. I mean, I'm 27 years old now, and I was probably about 15 when I did it. And it was kind of scary because you don't know what's actually going to, happen to you down there. And I got to give you a lot of credit for, sticking your neck out and going down there and doing these kinds of things. I heard you mention that you need work in the kitchen. I was just wondering if there's anything else, maybe some clerical duties, that you guys might need, or if there's anything else besides the, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to doing any kind of kitchen work, but if there's anything else that any one of us can do, I mean, I'm not opposed, like I said, I'm not opposed to showing up at 6 o'clock in the morning in Van Nuys, but is there anything else we can...
Where do you live?
I live in Baldwin Hills.
Oh, Baldwin Park, or is that near Baldwin?
Baldwin Hills is very close to Inglewood.
Oh, okay. Well, and you said clerical work? What
anything you guys do, like you guys must mail stuff out? Is there any kind of
oh, yeah.
paperwork?
I had a woman that was going to do my PSAs, and I've got them all written, and it just takes mailing them out. You just have to go down the list and mail them out for me, and that would be great.
Okay.
So drop me a line tomorrow.
Now, you're at Frontline Foundation, P.O. Box 570-303?
Correct, Tarzana, 91357. And pop a line in and say, Ray, just put about the PSAs, and I'll recontact you. And there was something happened to her. She was going to do it, and I had it all set up, and she had to mail it back to me. But that would be a great help to me because they could be put out, and it's a job that's I especially want out because of the internet page, and so it would be a great help. And it constitutes just mailing. I'd send you the postage with it, and we'd work together on it. So.
Okay, really quickly, I also wanted to say that, like everybody else in this world, I've had my troubles with some things, drugs and alcohol myself, and I've been in some programs, and I've seen some people who were living out of the dumpster. I've met people, talked to them, I've seen them every day, for months and stuff, and who were living out of dumpsters and who were really down and out, and you also said before, people say, oh, they can get a job, they can do this, they can do that, if they wanted to, and you didn't have any respect for them. It kind of hit me. I took a look at myself, and I said, wait a minute, I haven't been there, but I mean, I kind of know what he's saying, and it's like, I could really get behind, your message and everything, and I just really think what you're doing is really, really great, because there's a lot of people out there that they're not bad people.
Right.
They caught a bad break, and there's some people that just, maybe it's a self-esteem thing, maybe it's something that they don't know, maybe their skills are lacking, and trust me, they do not want to be down there because they got nothing else, to do. It's just, I just think that what you're doing is really great, and I really want to commend you for it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, John. We appreciate the call this morning. Let me reiterate a few bits of information. If you would like to drop Ray a letter or a line in the mail, the mailing address is Frontline Foundation, Post Office Box 570-303, Tarzana 91357. If you are online and would like to look at the webpage or the homepage for Frontline Foundation, it's frontline-foundation.org. Frontline-foundation.org. If you'd like to email Ray at Frontline, you can do that at castellani@frontline-foundation.org. Same thing as the homepage, only you do Castellani at. And I'm sure Ray would love to hear from you. I really enjoyed the calls this morning.
Yeah, wild.
We had some great calls and some great questions, and I'm always amazed by the people that listen to the show. And I'm just grateful to have you in my life and to have you on the program, and we've got to have you on the Sunday morning show soon. I know we didn't do it this last cycle around. I'm not sure why. I think it was on my end, feeling uptight or whatever, but it's been 3 months since you were on the last Sunday night program.
Yeah, right.
And it's been a while, and I know Sunday morning's a lot more accommodating for you than these hours, so.
I don't know. I'm going to be a late owl now, Frank.
Yeah, well, I'm always welcome I'm always grateful when you come down. What are your thoughts in closing? Anything you want to share with the listeners in closing? And again, I'm just grateful to have you here this morning.
Frank, again, I just thank you so much. You have no idea what you do as an instrument, powerful instrument. I know these things. Maybe people don't know it, but I know it. But I do want to. I don't want people. A lot of the calls, and I accept them with the utmost dignity. Thanks, but please, I want everybody to understand that I have been directed to do this. This is not out of me, and I don't want anybody to give any adulation or think I'm doing something fantastic because I just really followed the script, and that's the way it is. There is something. I think I gave it to your wife, or maybe I read it to you, and I wanted to say this, and because this is basically also what happened to me. I wrote something about 5 years ago, and I came across it about 2 weeks ago. And it goes like this, if I can remember it. Let's see. May you stand tall among the giants of humanity. And when you reach your destination, as I have reached mine, I hope that you find what I have found, that the end was but a beginning. And when I became a beginner, when I reached that pinnacle of all-encompassing knowledge, I realized that I was just a beginner, that I was at the beginning. And once I became a beginner, everything made sense to me. And it's, and I like it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So it's something. Thank you very much, Frank, for all that you do.
Thank you as well, Ray. And next time we'll have you on, I'll be asking you to do a little Shakespeare on the air.
Okay.
I love you, Ray.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. We'll have more after this. We'll go to 5 o'clock, and this is KLOS.